Okay, so thanks for joining us. It's March the 6th here, and this morning we're going to talk a little bit about the meridians. And as I mentioned in this week's yoga class that came out on Friday, we're going to talk about ahimsa, and then the way these things all come together with our somatic meditation. And one thing that's really interesting before I even go into the talk is that you already have access to it. And it's so interesting with the meridians too, that your natural state is that your meridians are in a free and easy flow. There are no blockages in your meridians. Your natural state is that you experience nonviolence all the time, that you experience loving kindness all the time. That's your natural state. That's your birthright. That's like everybody's standard operating package. You're born with that. That's inherent in your DNA. That's in your genes. There's nothing you have to do to receive that. And what you know already from this somatic meditation practice and then from our previous talks is just that there's things that happen in our life that create blockages in our meridians, or in the language of the somatic meditation, that sort of cover up our experience of that. So just always know at the beginning of this talk that there's nothing that you have to do. There's nowhere that you need to get to that, at this cellular level, at the level of your genes, at the level of your DNA, this is already imprinted in you. This is already a done deal. You can't help but to unfold in the most perfect way in your life. It's happened. It's done. So you can relax. So, as for March, we're focusing on the meridians, and the meridians are like energy highways in your body. And energy, or in yoga we call it prana, flows through these meridians or energy highways, and they access all parts of our body. But what happens is our meridian pathways get blocked. They get blocked by physical, mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual dis-ease. But when we do things like this somatic meditation, our fascia practices, which we were just talking about, or breath practices, our yoga practices, the pathways are opened up and the energy can flow through us. Even things like listening to these talks, when we're exposed to the teachings, we can have an insight and it can open something up in us. And then we can have that free flow of inner energy through ourself, a deeper connection with ourself, those we're in relationship with, and the earth that we inhabit. As you know also from the past talks and from this meditation, and from your study of ahimsa and the class that came out on Friday, what ends up happening, and this is just the quality of our mind and it's nothing personal, we tend to act in subtle and not so subtly aggressive ways against our experience. There's a kind of constant critical dialogue internally and our conflict within ourselves, and we resist our lives from our emotional landscape. We resist our illness when it comes up. We resist our aging and the events of the day as they unfold. We're constantly fighting against our life. And we know from our somatic meditation that this subtle aggression against our experience is our withdrawal from our evasion from our everyday experience. And it's what happens is we tense up our body trying to escape our experience. Our body tenses up. And this tensing of our body is a way of avoiding our experience and the discomfort that comes up in our ego, whether the discomfort is physical or psychological. We're just shutting down to the experience. And this shutting down to the experience, it turns off our awareness. Just like Madeline at the beginning, it was like her video camera was covered, and it was all blurry. And when she went and she cleaned it, we could see her more clearly. Same thing, right? So what happens is when we contract and tense in our body, we have a distorted vision of ourselves, just like we had a distorted version of Madeline, right? And when we are able to get rid of those layers, like the blur, just get rid of the dust on the camera, we're able to see clearly, right? I couldn't even see that she's like, now her sweater looks so much more vibrant. It's like this really beautiful, bright mustard color. And before it looked, I don't know, it looked really dull. So now we can see her in all her brilliance and vitality. And that's really what we're doing here. As we do this somatic meditation, we are relaxing into our body. We're like removing the gunk and the dust and the gunk, and we're releasing our tension, and our small sense of self begins to release as well. We become less paranoid, and we become less rigid. So this violence that shows up in our social, our emotional, our behavioral, our cognitive, and our moral lives is a reflection of our own inner conflict. We all experience it. Life has a way of throwing it at us every single day. No matter how much we don't want to come into contact with conflict, we come into conflict with it, right? We come into contact with it, right? No matter how well prepared I was for this meeting this morning, had all my windows open. I was here 10 minutes early. I was all set up. I was breathing. I was grounding myself. I took some time, and then the program didn't work, right? And then Tim comes and he's stressed already because of something that happened before, and the video camera doesn't work. So then there's that conflict, right? And it's just, life has a way of dishing it out. And so in this somatic meditation, we connect with our body. We don't turn away from the conflict and pretend it's not happening, but we discover, okay, where did that land in my body? Where am I feeling it? And we feel, okay, where am I holding on? We relax and we let go. And we discover the resistance, the holding on, the tension of our bodies, and we allow it to release. And it's easy to become tense and frightened by the unexpected in our lives, right? I didn't expect this morning for Zoom not to work. It's never not worked. Excuse me. And life throws at us all sorts of things, all sorts of losses, all sorts of disappointments, all sorts of insecurities. We're all aging. We're all going to come up against illness. We're all going to come up to get against, we're at the end of the story, we all die. There's no avoiding that. But we fight against our life. We run from pain. We grasp at security, right? There I am trying to make everything run smoothly. The joke's on me. And we try to make everything as pleasurable as possible. And ahimsa means nonviolence, but in day-to-day experience of our life, we fight against our life and in every dimension of our experience, inner and outer. And this creates layers and layers and layers of tension in our body that further numbs us to our awareness and clear seeing, right? And part of clear seeing is seeing when the layers are there, right? And recognizing when the layers are there. So the conflict in the world and between people is a reflection of our own inner conflict and fear. We expend enormous amounts of energy denying our insecurity, fighting pain, making death, putting death away in places where we don't have to look at it. running away from loss, hiding from the basic truths of our life. And this shows up as layers of tension in our body. We insulate ourselves from our experience. There's a book called When Society Becomes an Addict. It's by Ann Wilson Schaaf, and she says, when you are fully alive, you're constantly saying no to many of the processes of society, whether it be racism, pollution, nuclear threat, arms races, drinking unsafe water, eating carcinogenic foods. So thus it's in the interest of our society to promote those things that take the edge off, that keep us busy with our fixes and keep us slightly numbed out and zombie-like. So she has this theory that we're a society of addicts, because basically that's the only way to cope, unless, you're lucky enough to be in a situation like this where you're learning some healthier coping mechanisms. And, one of our most pervasive addictions is to speed. And this is one that is just rampant in our culture. Technology and social media pushes us to increase the pace of productivity and increase the pace of our engagement in our lives. And this is really going at a much faster pace than our nervous systems can process. And with this kind of addiction to speed, and we have really unrealistic expectations for ourselves in terms of along this path that we're taking in a few ways. One of them is in terms of understanding the teachings. A lot of people expect the message to be delivered quickly in sound bites, to get the message fast so that we can move on to the next thing. And this really denies us the opportunity to hear the teachings over and over again, so that you can kind of percolate in them, reflect on their meanings, allow time for contemplation, allow them to take root in your bodies and your psyche, and allow their meaning to deepen in their own time and in your own lives and over time. And also with the addiction to speed, we really have unrealistic expectations about our practices themselves, about our yoga practices, about our meditation practices. We also expect them to unfold quickly and with the same kind of commercial, consumer speed, the same kind of way that we might order dinner at a restaurant. And, get kind of frustrated or think that something's wrong when it doesn't materialize the same kind of way that you might be able to read a book or order something at a restaurant. And, with our practices, with our meditation, with anything in this realm that we're practicing in, we will arrive at a direct, intuitive experience of the nature of things beyond words and images when we completely relax, and when it's within the time that's written in your DNA, when it's supposed to unfold for you, not when you think it's your time. So through this practice, through our somatic meditation practice, we're really learning some practical tips for stopping the war, stopping the violence. We lie down on our mats and we are learning step by step how to relax in a systematic way. We release tension from our body over and over and over again, layer by layer by layer, until ahimsa, until nonviolence becomes our way of being. We all have inner peace at the center of our being. It's just like, it's absolutely true without analysis, without negotiation. It's absolutely true. And when we remove the layers of tension that prevent us from being able to access that tension, just like Madeline took off the scum that was on her video camera. That was just so perfect today. When we remove those layers of tension, then we come into direct contact with that inner peace that was already there. All the gentleness, all the tenderness, all the kindness. And there's nothing you have to do. It's already there. There's nothing you have to create. There's nothing you have to sustain. And this puts you into direct contact with the peace in your inner world and peace in your outer world. And there's no amount of willpower that's going to stop the violence within. It's like I say, there's really nothing you have to do. If you're going to make this your project, you're pretty much like saying, inner critic, come on over here. I'm going to employ my inner bully and bring those big bootstraps and let's pull them up and let me give you a contract here. You're going to be as aggressive as possible with me over the next week to make me, over the next however long you decide. Let's make it a good year-long project. Okay, so here's a whip and chain, and you're going to make me gentle. Like, that is not going to work. No matter how positive your intention is, it's just going to more deeply embed these patterns of aggression into your body and add more layers of tension. It's just going to keep the war against yourself alive. But when we come to somatic meditation, we lie down and we release the tension. We're letting go of the battle wounds. We're letting go of the battles. We're saying, thanks, inner critic. You've helped me have some great awarenesses. I can see you're looking after me, but you know what? I'm going to let you retire. You can go on permanent vacation. You've done a good job. I'm going to just let you have an amazing retirement package. So as you start to clear the blockages along the meridian channels, sometimes you're going to encounter pain before you experience the free flow of energy. You're going to encounter your pain, your desire, your grief, your loss, your hopes, your fears, everything that you've been running from, everything that's been held in your body, your loneliness, your unworthiness, your boredom, your shame, your unfulfilled desires. So I love this. My teacher, Neil, says, so at first, when your leg's been numb and it starts to wake up, it doesn't feel good at first. At first, it hurts, right? So that's what happens when you first start to wake up. So, sorry, that's the kind of way it goes. So you should know if you're, you're like, man, God, I'm in so much pain. Yes, you're waking up. This is like good news. Yay. And you know what? It's like, here's the other thing. It's not like, okay, now you're going through this, it's not a linear path. You wake up in spirals. So you get to kind of, your leg's going to go to sleep again, and then it's going to wake up again, and you're like, oh, there's that pain again. Okay. So we get to do it again and again and again. So let's just take a moment now and feel your sit bones in your chair, or if you're sitting on the ground, lengthen up through your spine, lengthen up through the back of your head. Close your eyes so you have an inward reflection and feel the earth underneath you. So rest for a moment and just feel your posture. Let yourself rest in your posture. And feel the support of the earth underneath you. And then become aware of your breath in your belly. And allow yourself to rest with your breath in your belly. And reflect on your own life. Come into your body. Allow yourself to fully inhabit your body. And notice if you have an ongoing struggle with your body. Just notice that. No right or wrong, no better or best. Just bringing awareness. With awareness, there's clear seeing. And then become aware of your emotions. And reflect on if you have been fighting inner wars with your feelings. Do you allow yourself to open fully to the emotions as they come up? Or do you cut yourself off from your emotional experience? Are you in conflict with your own loneliness, fear, confusion, grief, anger? Just sense the struggle that you've been waging with your own emotions. And then turn your attention to your thoughts. Become aware of the inner battles you carry out in your mind. Notice the inner armies, the inner dictators, the inner fortifications. Just become aware of how long you've fought within yourself and how long you've perpetuated the conflict. Gently and with openness, allow each of these experiences to be present. Your body, your emotions, your thoughts. Simply noticing each one in turn with interest and kind attention. Being open to whatever you experience. Noticing without fighting. And feel your connection to the earth. Breathe. And when you feel ready, you can come back. Okay, so we'll just be open to how our time unfolds this morning, but I'll give you some time now to introduce yourselves, where you're connecting from, and perhaps respond to the talk this morning if you feel so called to, or even to the short meditation that we did there at the end if you feel like you want to check in after that. And once we've done that, we'll kind of check in where our time is at and decide where to go from there.
Okay, I will start. I'm Linda from Holland, and I'm glad I came to the meditation because I had a lot of resistance this night. I don't know why, because I'm tired, very tired. And I was a bit struggling last weeks with a lot of restlessness and unease, and I still don't feel too good. But last week, I think after the last week's meditation, I tried to just be with also all the uneasy feelings and just be with it. And I must say it helps. So this whole talk about resistance and aggressiveness against ourselves, I recognize quite well. And I think to trying to accept it and go with it and stay with it and breathe with it or just lie down with it is a way of saying yes to things instead of no. So for me, this whole ahimsa for me is saying yes to all what arises and all what happens, and that helps me a lot. So I don't feel better, but it's much easier, you know. It's not. I still feel uneasy. I wake up in the night with a lot of fear and racing heart, but accepting it helps. It's not so heavy anymore. So yeah, we will see what happens.
Because there's a gentleness, you know, like to bring a judgment to the anxiety and the racing heart. Further, it adds that layer to the anxiety and the racing heart. I think
it's a kind of allowing it to happen, not what you say, fighting everything, fighting the unease, fighting the thoughts about it, and so you can put layer on layer. And I also feel I tense up quite a bit all day long, in my shoulder, in my hands even, you know. Like and to be aware of it helps too, to just every time say, okay, relax, open my hands and just lay them in my lap or whatever, look outside, or to be more aware, help, the gentleness towards myself. I think it's very important. I'm, as you know, also Vata, always prone to doing more and solving problems for everybody and myself. So to be gentle and just wait, not act.
That it's very big, and the waiting is huge. It's a real act of kindness.
This is new. It's a kind of not step over it, but just okay, it's there, it's okay. So I hope I can stay with it,
because it's so different from reacting, right? Fixing, solving, right?
Trying to get rid of it. Last night I woke up at 4:30 with really, after a kind of nightmare. It was really like, I had so much fear in my body, and you don't want it. It was dark, it was cold, I didn't want to go out of bed, and just to think, hey, okay, it's there, I feel it. I feel fear, it's there. It's okay, because something happened, I don't know what, and it doesn't matter, just stay with it. And then it took a long time, but it goes away.
Right, because nothing's permanent. It's like to ignore. So you know what I love about what you're saying, Linda, is that you're giving some real concrete examples and putting into a real life experience what this talk was about, right? Which is that, you know, you're acknowledging the pain, which was the nightmare. You're giving some space around it, and it didn't stay forever. It eventually dissolved. So it's no different than the pain in the big toe. And everybody can find a parallel experience in their own life. You know, and sometimes these painful experiences are, I had a nightmare, I woke up, it was frightening, it took me an hour, 2 hours to fall back asleep. sometimes these painful experiences are, I got a migraine, it stayed, it lasted 5 years. Eventually it started to let go.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes the waiting is a very long time. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is part of it, because it's, I think too, the last years were very tough. So it will take time to get rid of all those tension build up. So to get rid of, it takes time to go through it, to experience them, to let them go softly. Yeah.
Mm.
Melissa, a couple of things you said I thought were really an important piece for me for now. This whole question of taking time, of not rushing, of not trying to cram so much into the day. One thing I've learned is that I have to listen to these teachings at least one more time, usually more. And that because it's night, and a lot of times my experience of the meditation, particularly the somatic meditation, is more in that twilight space. It's better for me in the morning. What I found recently is that and it's good because it's come to my attention, it's come to the forefront. But what I'm finding is I keep telling myself, yes, I'll get to slowing down as soon as whatever.
Fill in the blank.
That's right. It's something I know must happen. It's a goal in my head. And the good thing about that, of course, is that I'm aware.
Yes.
So the awareness is coming, and in a way, I have some impatience and some my inner critic is scolding myself. But in another way, I'm aware that this is a process and that I'm moving in that direction. But you're absolutely right. There is no healing in the 10 minutes between this task and this other task.
No.
There just isn't.
It's not. Sort of the timing of our bodies don't really work that way.
Or of our spirits. Yeah.
You know, I can really relate to what you're saying. I actually think I posted about it here on the forum and on my mat today, about having that awareness around realizing that most of the tension that accumulates in my body during the day comes from not giving myself enough time to complete any tasks during the day. It was like this all of a sudden was very clear seeing a few days ago, right?
Yeah.
And so as my teacher, Michael Lee from Phoenix Rising always says, with awareness comes choice. And so it's made me realize that I need to be making different choices. And sometimes I make better choices and sometimes I don't. But the awareness is really there now. And it does feel better when I make better choices. And even sometimes when I make better choices, life still hands it to me, like this morning. So life is just going to continue to, we can't control life either, right? Life's going to just continue to find your trigger points and just sock it to you. But we can still notice where we are adding to our own tension.
Yeah.
And that's a big one. That's a big one in our culture, right?
And it's so big that for me, there's this enormous fear in starting to say, and ultimately there is a saying no.
Yeah. In saying yes to creating more spaciousness in your life, you absolutely have to say no to things.
Yeah, my dad has a not to do list, which I really love. It's on his wall. These are the things that I will not do.
Yeah.
But the culture, the push is so intense culturally that there is. I'm experiencing a lot of fear in terms of what to let go, and
Did you know the world is still spinning even though I'm not answering YouTube comments anymore or Facebook comments? I handed that over to Tim this past week.
Yeah, very good.
It's a miracle.
It is a miracle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll find the things that are draining your energy and not feeding your energy.
But it's really an addiction, like you say. It's so, people ask you.
It is an addiction, yeah.
What are you doing? Oh, I'm so busy.
So busy, yeah. First thing out of your mouth.
Busy.
Yeah.
When you're not busy, you're not okay. You're not busy. Huh? What's that? You have to be busy.
Yeah, and
not busy, that's lazy. Come on. You have to be busy.
People wear, I've had friends in the past who wear that badge like a trophy.
Yeah.
I've always struggled with it because, like you say, it means that they can't remember what they've done. All they can say is, "I'm busy."
I'm so busy. Okay.
Yeah. I'm Hannah. I'm in the UK, and it's 6:30 now. It's interesting what happened in that meditation. You were just saying to feel and understand and let it happen, and this pain just shot through my head, and immediately I went like this, and I realised you're resisting it and wanting it not to be there. So I had to kind of let it go and actually feel what it was, rather than knowing that it was horrible, so I didn't want to be there. So that was quite interesting. This other thing that you were talking about earlier, I so recognise my Kapha Pitta tendencies. Sometimes I'm so passive, I just let it happen, and then other times it's react, respond, and I have to kind of move away from that judgment when that happens. And I'm realising as the months have gone by and I don't know how long it's happening, but I'm realising more and more that I'm judging myself, and letting that go means that I judge others less as well.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to think of myself as someone who judges other people, because it's not my place. But they do, and I do. So just being more with myself and not judging myself, I'm finding it easier to let my interference, even if it's just in my head, go from other people. And that's just an interesting take on where we are. It's being gentle and kind, and being a loving kindness, letting the ahimsa in. It's not reacting so strongly with self. Let's not be that way with other people too.
Yeah, well, it happens automatically. Like, again, it's not something you have to cultivate. The more you connect with your own gentleness, with your own basic goodness, it's just the more connected you are, the more you clear your video camera, the more clearly you can see your own basic goodness. It's just the veils are removed and you see it in other people.
It's removing the conditioning.
it's just, again, it's not something you have to do. The more you kind of impose that on yourself, the more it's like the layers again.
Yeah,
it becomes another project, right? Like, Hannah, you have to be a good person. There's yeah, but Hannah, you already are a good person.
Yeah.
And the more you connect with that part of yourself, the more you realize that you are at your core good, gentle, and kind, and you feel into that every day. You can't help but to see that goodness, gentleness, and kindness in other people.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just are a bitch, but everybody is, I think. You have to accept that too. Just accept it. It's good too. Sometimes you have to explode to your partner or your child or the dog. It's good sometimes. Don't judge. Part of the deal. But it's true. It gets less. The more calm you are, I think, the less you have, there is less room for it, I think.
Yeah.
And what Melissa also says, it's not linear, so it will come back too. Sometimes it goes better. You think, okay, I'm there. No.
Yeah.
You go back again. Or
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Melinda's saying is true too. Sometimes the situation calls for it.
Yeah.
Right.
Also.
sometimes the situation calls, and I think this is what Hannah was saying too, right? Like, just because you're connected with your basic goodness, with your gentleness and your kindness, is not asking you to be a doormat in the world.
Yeah.
Let everybody walk all over you.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes being connected with your kindness and your compassion means that you're going to have to stand up for something. Right.
And approach it in a way that makes it easier, in a loving way, too.
Yeah.
Because you can, but also the way you approach other people will make it easier for them to understand exactly where you're coming from.
It's true.
And the bitchy part was not personally. Hannah, you're a bitch. I said that. It was not to you.
Hi, I'm Lucille, and I'm connecting from Toronto, and it's just after 1:30 here. And I have been, I've been remembering, Melissa, what you said last week. Lucille thinks she should be doing something.
Did I say that?
Yeah, and about other people in my family, and blah blah blah. So I've been so aware of that coming up, and so I guess my inner bitch has kind of said, "Stop it," and but then I find myself going there in my head, and decided, it's loving kindness towards myself to check myself, and so I've done little projects, little things that I like to do just because I like to do them, as a way of not getting drawn into that kind of thought and worry and hovering. And so as a result of doing, this morning I was rearranging photo albums and decluttering and thinking of Linda decluttering, and so I should be decluttering. And then my body got really tired from sitting on the floor and leaning forward. So I did a little bit of yoga, and I thought, okay, so I'll just do a little bit of yoga till it's time for somatic meditation. And isn't it nice to just let things flow and let things be? And all of a sudden, knock, knock, knock. And there's my granddaughter showing up, and it's like, what's for lunch? So I thought, okay, I'll just go with the flow. Maybe I'll miss the meditation, but there'll be the recording. And then I thought, wait, this is really important to me. So I said, Juliana, how long are you staying? And she said, well, I can't stay long, so I'll help you make lunch. So, we got through that, and she left 5 minutes, I think, before the meditation started. And then because of your technical difficulty, I was able to do, take care of myself, go to the washroom, make myself a cup of tea. And I thought, it's okay to not think I have to be doing something about other people. Because it could take this whole incarnation of thinking that if I don't check myself. So I was aware of that I was like that before, but as I heard it said last week, it just really made me super aware of it. And so I'm really glad it's shifting a little bit of something. But yeah, it's going to take me the rest of my life. So that's okay.
You know what Linda said this morning about the power of waiting. It's something that my teacher Neil talks about a lot, is just that we underestimate the power of just waiting, of not doing anything. And that page was talking about that too. Like, we don't have to figure it all out. We don't have to do the next step. We don't have to do anything.
And when it feels like we should,
wait.
It's real work to check that.
Yeah, just to just let it all be messy.
Messy.
Yeah. Because the knee-jerk reaction is to and then your mind is like trying to figure it out, and that's not the place to be.
Hi, I'm Petra from North Vancouver. Still makes me nervous to talk, but more comfortable this time than last time. So interesting, when we were doing the meditation now, when we were talking about examining the emotions, the anger, the loneliness, the this and that, I could see them in my mind float by, and then suddenly it stopped and I couldn't see them anymore. And it seems to be a theme for me right now, that something shuts me off of the emotion. I can access it sometimes, and sometimes I can't. So what I did this time was a little bit unconsciously, a little bit consciously, because I had my eyes shut. I just sort of used my imagination and I sort of personified that block. And it makes me feel like somebody is shutting it down. So I just looked around and I introduced myself to be like a doorman. That's just hi. So just noticing that, because that's what we were noticing things. So I'm just noticing that block as a block, and it's like, oh hi, what's up? I don't see anything anymore. What's happening? And wouldn't answer me, but that was something I thought that was actually pretty useful.
Mm-hmm. Did it open again?
No, not yet.
Mm.
But he's still there.
Yeah.
He's hanging
Yeah.
out by the door, and I can see that now. So that's, yeah. It's more comforting, actually, than, because before that, it's just, where is everything? It's like there's a nothing. And having something disappear, for me, it's easier to see something than to have something disappear. So it was a little bit easier. I don't know if that's right or wrong or good or bad, but it was, I found it a little bit useful for me.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Rumi who wrote the poem about inviting your emotions in for tea and conversation?
Mm. Yeah.
I did a yoga nidra based around that for about 3 months, and eventually I could see my emotions sitting in chairs around me.
Mm-hmm.
It was really fascinating because I was aware that they were there, and it did make such a difference to actually know that I was seeing these emotions sitting in chairs around me during the day, and it just let them be rather than like you say, blocking them. So it's yeah, if you can use visual images, it's certainly really helpful.
There's kind of a protective mechanism that that's really quite common, called disassociation, right? It sounds it sounds like is what's happening for you, Petra. Yeah. And so I really like that you're being intuitively guided to reconnect. It sounds like your inner wisdom is telling you how to reconnect, and that the fact that you're noticing when you're disassociating is really powerful too. Other ways I think would be to feel your way back in, like to feel the earth underneath you, to start to feel sensations in your body again, wherever you can feel sensations in your body, So when did it sort of drop out? It's dropped out around emotions, right? Yeah. So go back to, it's like, to me, it sounds like you need to go back to where it's safer. So it's like a protective mechanism, right? It's like, okay, your body is willing to go this far, but and your body's very smart. It's keeping you safe. So then we're going to drop, I think, come back to feeling the earth underneath you, feeling that support, and then feeling your body, feeling where your body's connected to the ground, feeling the soles of your feet, feeling your toes, feeling your legs, right? So just take a step back and feel your body again. I would say do that. The fact that you're noticing is huge. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really good.
One step.
Yeah, it's really good. And yeah, don't worry about these things, but and I think that's a really cool thing that you're doing with the introducing our hello, or yeah, hello, can we talk, can we yeah, I think that's really,
What's in there?
yeah, I like the technique too, but also coming back to the place where it feels safer too, I think would be
Yeah.
It's very common. It's not unusual. And actually, there's a really high level of awareness with yours. I mean, with dissociation, often it's just complete. People are usually completely gone. There's not usually this level of awareness around it. So whether it be, it's sort of more like I'm not hearing what you're saying anymore. I'm not in my body anymore. But there's a huge amount of presence there.
Right.
Yeah.
I wrote in the forum that when I was trying to do the somatic meditation again, I guess the second time, I'm not sure if you saw it, but I know you did, Melissa, that I had a disassociation just with one tiny part, and I blacked out basically for just a tiny piece. It was just the part where we were talking about releasing the throat area, and I was ready for it because the last time I had a big reaction. So I was ready for it, and there was 3 places that I had the reaction. I got through 2 of those places, and suddenly we were on the other side of the throat part. I was like, wasn't it right there that we were supposed to do that part? And then and it kept going. I was like, yeah, no, it's gone. It wasn't even there. So I completely blacked out to it actually being there at all. And I heard everything else in the So yeah, that was that was odd. It was a weird feeling, but yeah, it wasn't ready. my body was not.
So yes, your body was completely ready. You can trust absolutely everything that was happening there. Yeah. So there's a couple of things there. It's not that nothing happened there. Yeah. It was that your conscious mind wasn't supposed to be present there, right? So a couple of things. One thing is that we can come to this meditation and make it a project like anything else. And I do this too, right? I've got this pain in my neck and I've got this shoulder thing. And the last time I did this meditation, when I laid down, I had this huge release, and I'm going to do that again. Right? And I'm going to become my own therapist and make this amazing thing happen, right? Here in this practice. Well, your body has its own agenda, and what happens when you lie down is basically very different from what your ego wants to have happen when you lie down, right? So you probably get to your throat and you think, all right, here we are. We've hit the mother load. Now it's going to happen. Yeah. And your body went, yeah, you know what? We really need to get Petra out of the way for this. So let's just get her out of the way. And got you out of the way, and what needed to happen happened, right? And then brought you back for the rest of it.
That was funny.
Yeah. So that can happen too.
Interesting.
So I think when we come to this practice, if we can lie down and let go of our agendas, then I find myself coming to the mat and being like, okay, I'm going to relax. And then I have the worst practice ever, right? Or I'm going to surrender. Yeah, right. I'm going to do this practice. Oh my God. Nothing lets go. Until I I'm like, oh, so much tension in my feet. Oh, okay, I'm gonna let go of this tension in my feet. I can feel all this tension. When it lets go? When I just let go of even thinking about it. Later, I'm way up in my shoulders, and then all of a sudden, big let go of my feet. When I'm not even thinking about it anymore. Yeah. So that's when the part that Hannah was talking about earlier, the part that just is so laid back, is really useful.
Yeah.
Right, and the part that recognizes that we already are relaxed, then you don't have to do anything. All we have to do is relax, which is a kind of an oxymoron.
That's such a relief you say that, Melissa.
It's a relief to hear somebody say all you have to do is relax.
Yeah, we're already relaxed, so that's okay with me.
Yeah, I don't know. What funny human beings we are.
I'm interested in seeing more about who that doorman is that's shutting me out, because I think that's actually a good friend of mine. I think.
No, don't think about it too much.
Stop. Get out. Just let me do this.
But the point is, you're already doing it, right?
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's already done.
Yeah.
So it's like there's nothing to do. It sounds kind of, I don't know if that's helpful.
It's food
Yes,
for
it
thought.
is.
Yeah, maybe
You
right
have to
now
keep
it's
saying it. Keep saying it every week, Melissa. because
okay. Yeah, maybe right now it sounds like a little too weird.
Keep saying it, because we don't have to do. Meditation isn't do. It is.
Right.
Part of my mind is saying, yeah, that's right. And part of my mind
See,
saying,
yeah, you need to connect to the part of your mind that's really jazzed up about that.
Can we do that meditation again before we finish?
I don't think so. I think I think Jackie looks like she's about to speak, and I think Michelle, I'm going to read Michelle's comments. Go ahead, Jackie.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I agree with Hannah. It was about repeating not about doing anything. So I think we're so conditioned to think that way, and to just think that the practice is something we do, and it's so different from something that we just be. And it's just difficult to get your head around. I just find myself listening and thinking, getting these kind of epiphanies of, but we don't have to do anything. But it's just, I think it's just difficult to be. I think for
What a funny thing to say, right? It's difficult conceptually it's difficult to let go of the concept that you can be, because you have this belief that you have to do, but you don't, because you already are.
It's like being busy practicing non-doing,
yes.
isn't it?
so confusing.
Oh my God, language.
I'm
Too
gonna
much.
We're going in circles.
I'm going to get something that I'm going to read to you guys, some notes I took in the course. Hold on one sec. Okay. I wrote this down. This is the course I'm taking right now. So you already have, okay, so I'm hopefully the first word doesn't kind of trigger you. We all have within us Buddha genes so you can replace the word Buddha with whatever if that kind of gets you can replace it with whatever, that contain gentleness. They're ever so loving, and this lovingness goes beyond just being kind. They're extremely tender and capable of reflecting themselves to even those who don't want to relate to us. They are absolutely free from any form of aggression. They are so soft and kind. They are full of humor and delight and great joy. And when you know you have these Buddha genes, you are cheerful. So that's why I say, like, you all have that. You don't have to do anything. It's already in you at a cellular level.
And we
So
can take this with us wherever we are during the day and during the week as well.
Yeah.
I think that's it, isn't it? As we let the tension build up with so many things happening to us, and just letting that enter our lives wherever we are, I think is it's so true. I love that what you've just read.
yeah, it's like a major, you just let yourself off the hook, right?
Approach everything with
Completely.
joy. Yeah.
But you don't have to approach everything with joy, because joy
Because
is
it's
like
already
it's already
there.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like there's no
yeah.
project at all
No.
whatsoever.
Whoa. We just have to lighten up.
You don't have to lighten up because you're already light. Does you see, get it? Do you get it?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm awake and sometimes I don't get it.
See, that's so the only thing is that we're asleep. That was the point of this talk. We have these layers on us. With the layers, life happens, the video camera doesn't work. Your husband's going to get angry with you sometimes, right? Things are going to happen in life. You're going to get sick. That was the whole point of this talk. And these things make us forget what I just told you.
The ultimate truth of who we are.
The ultimate
without
truth.
trying.
Without any projects. Any effort. Okay.
I don't know about a month of, we need a month of not doing on the website. A month we probably need.
You don't need anything. You need nothing.
Yeah.
You need nothing. You already are. Just go and smoke that in your pipes this week. Okay? We're going to leave on that note, my loves. Have a wonderful week. Let go of all your projects. Please don't create a project around this.
I'm going to the beach.
You can go to the beach. Have a good week.
Thanks, Melissa.
Namaste.
Namaste.